Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, today is the day. By the time you see this, we would already have NVDA earnings. The market is closed, but we're still waiting on them to report. And so it's going to be interesting because obviously they're not just holding up the whole sector, they're holding up like this whole AI thing which is going on, right? Because they've been the ones capturing revenue off of AI. When you see a lot of other pretenders out there saying, not quite. Right, and so that's what you want to pay attention to. If you're in an AI stock and you believe in it, and they're not raising guidance like some of these other companies and capturing this AI revenue, then you might want to take a look at that a little more careful. I'm just saying. So we'll see what they got to say. And the truth is, it's going to be interesting because, man, another reason it's ran up so much. And what happens to most stocks that run up this much going into earnings? You better hang the moon, baby. Okay, so we'll see what's enough for the market. The other thing is, if it does sell off, watch and see how quickly, if this happens, of course, that dip gets bought up. That's what you really want to see. And if you're a long-term investor, you ought to be cheering for this thing to tank down into that gap. That's what you ought to be cheering for because, you still want to keep buying it in the 500, but you can go down and buy that thing in the dip, the RTH gap that never filled from, what was it, 2 earnings ago, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see. Let me know what you think down in the comments. But I definitely have some stuff for you today, which you've probably heard or maybe not heard, right? So you'll hear what's going on right now. It's like there's this global liquidity cycle. We're fixing to get ready to head up into it, right? So actually liquidity coming into the market on a global scale. I'm going to show you a little bit about why people are talking about this. And like I've said, liquidity is everything in the market. It don't matter what else is going on. Liquidity is everything, and there's many different forms of liquidity, right? And so we're gonna get into all that. We're gonna go into Tesla's chart, small caps, what we're talking about. They got hit hard today. We'll talk about why. I will say this: the FOMC minutes came out. Whatever, nothing to speak of. I mean, no shock. They're not talking about rate cuts, right? We're putting in these smart money, big money, whatever. They're putting in 4 rate cuts for next year. Well, the only way I see that happen is if what? We end up going into a recession, right? Or something bad is happening. So, again, we'll see. Again, that's what this whole freaking rally is about, right? The Fed pause, the Fed cutting next year, the soft landing, all of that. So just remember that as we're going through this, all right? If you're sitting there going, this rally doesn't make any sense, that's what this is right now, okay? Now, here's what we're talking about with this liquidity cycle and everything on a global scale. Right now, you may be unaware of this, but you got 81 central banks across the globe. There now is, as of October and then this month, more rate cuts taking place than hikes, right? And you've seen a lot of people pause. We've been paused. I believe ECB's paused, a bunch of other major ones. But you can see right there, obviously I'm colorblind, but the lighter number is cuts, darker number is hikes. All you saw was hikes going all the way across back to 2021, right? And all of a sudden you're seeing more cuts because why? A lot of economies are slowing down and in way worse shape than ours is, by the way. Now, look at ECB right here. We just talked about it. For whatever reason, like money markets are pricing like 100 basis points in easing in 2024. And so that's another one. Again, this is all forms of liquidity. The market loves to see this stuff, right? It doesn't matter about anything else for it, really. Now, pay attention to copper. Obviously, we see retailers in America saying, hey, the consumer's slowing down, all this other stuff, but it's called Dr. Copper for a reason. And let's see if it gets this breakout. It's tipping its head above that trend line right there. As you can see, it's hit down into that support level at least 5 different times now, and see if that breaks out, because that's actually a good sign for our economy, for the global economy. And this could be because of China rescuing a bunch of their builders and stuff like that over there. I think they're choosing like 50 or something like that to rescue. Now, the dollar, we talked about this yesterday. Let's see if it gets a bounce at this level. Today it got the bounce, very small bounce. Let's see if this continues. If that continues, that's usually not good for equities, but you could see obviously commodities and stuff start to come back up from that. And this kind of is what the Fed was talking about in their FOMC minutes. They're worried about is all of a sudden getting this second wave of inflation or whatever when liquidity starts to happen like that. And we'll see. This was interesting. This is BOFA Clients, right? And look who's buying and look who was selling last week. Obviously, we were rallying last week. And more than anything, you saw some trading sideways too, right? And you saw who was buying. Corporates, right? We're buying for sure. Who was selling? More than anything, retail, institutional, getting out or whatever. Which that's kind of interesting to see. But all of a sudden, off a big rally, that's why you probably saw us trading sideways a lot Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I believe it was. because, you know, people are taking profits because they're up so big because of such a big move. Now, don't forget, guys, this ends this Friday. 70% off TradeView, okay? You can renew at this. That's what I did. Save myself over $300. And we also have one of our members. He either renewed or actually bought new plans or whatever. But you can buy multiples. He just bought like 2 years and saved like $600, which is crazy. But, you know, hey, good for him and stuff. So if you want to get in on it, get down there at the link at the bottom. It's not going to be any cheaper. Maybe they have this sell again next year or something. And you got a month free and you can cancel whenever you want to. So get on in, hit the link down at the bottom. Don't miss out on that. Now, is our Fed going to be cut next year? Who knows? And the truth is, as long as the economy is strong, there's no reason for them to cut. There just isn't. 2018, they got, you know, the Fed president, remember, he's a weak dude. He got browbeat by the president like every day on Twitter. I think he finally ended up folding, obviously. And so that's why that happened. You know, that's not going to happen this time right now, at least coming into next year. And so we'll have to see if they're going to do it or not and how the market's going to react if they don't cut rates, right? Because the rates do take effect. You're hearing the biggest retailers out there tell you this. They're like, oh, yeah. And just look in your inner circle. I look at my inner circle. Everybody's tightening down. That's just the way it is, right? But again, as long as people have 3 or 4 jobs, okay, as much as that may suck, it is what it is. As long as we're still making as much money as we're making, as long as our houses are still appreciating or at least not falling off a cliff, it's all good. And as long as our money markets are making between 4.5%, 5.5%, you know, that's good as well. All right. So till we see that fall off, you know, whole different story. Now, what'd you see in the market today? Small caps take a beating. We're fitting to get into that. Anything with high rate sensitivity, you know, high beta stuff, which means it moves a lot, that took a beating. And what was the leading sectors today? All defensive, right? You see this right here? Utilities, staples, healthcare, all defensive, right? You look down at what's not defensive. It's small cap tech, which is the very bottom. It took a big time beating today. That would be your Russell 2000 type stuff. And then XLK, of course, which, I mean, mostly consists of the Mag 7, but, you know, a lot of other tech as well in there. And then, of course, real estate, things of that nature. Now, this is something important to watch here, and we're going to go through this in a little detail. This is the S&P, right? Finally got our third touch on this trend line right here. That's the all-time high over there, okay? That's July's high. Here comes the S&P up right here. Touches got rejected today. We should not be surprised. This normally happens, all right? And as you go through this right here, you know, when you look at that run, man, no red candles whatsoever, right? I mean, just absolute nothing but green all the way up. And when you look, though, I mean, what else is it leaving behind? Fair value gaps, right? Imbalances between buyers and sellers. Last time I saw this right here was this right here. See all this moving up and all these fair value gaps, big run up. And then, you know, what happens usually, well, you will get a pullback at some point in time to mitigate those fair value gaps and balance those out. They're like magnets. Doesn't mean they have to happen. Again, I talked about this on Saturday. Doesn't mean it has to happen at all. But what do you see? 50% retracement down. That's normally what you see. Maybe a golden pocket. And then you get your pop. Now, of course, we started into a downtrend at this point in time. It's 2022 right there because this is a weekly. But you can see if you just take a pause and say, look for big candles that the body isn't covered up from a candle to the left or right of it, you can see where it's just a magnet for these pullbacks and these run-ups, right, before it ends up selling off. And so, you know, eventually, probably the end of November, maybe early part of December, you start to see a little bit of softness before you get ready to ramp up for the Christmas rally. You know, maybe you get some of these mitigated. You know, that would be pretty nice to see. And you can see right there, I mean, it's come down. And what do you see right there? There is a fair value gap. It pulls up. What's it do? It mitigates that fair value gap to the penny, all right? Look at the NASDAQ composite. Again, this is different. It had its third touch, busted through. Now I'm looking for the retest back down that trend line right there, which would be support. Again, whole lot of green candles. This is a weekly chart, right? And so, you know, what else they leave behind? Whole bunch of fair value gaps. Don't mean they got to mitigate now. Maybe down the road some point in time. We'll have to see. But you can see the same thing right there. Came down, mitigated a bunch of them before it did a pop up. And so, again, right now we're trying to pull out of this downtrend. This one's basically done that. Started moving up. Still looking to get past those July highs, of course, which is going to be a big level. And again, we'll see if they can pull it off. But when you see that, don't be surprised and be like, oh my God, there's some selling going on. I mean, eventually you would think there's going to be some selling, but this has been a big thrust up. So those gaps don't have to fill, those fair value gaps don't have to mitigate, but just be aware of them. Now, small caps is a whole different ballgame. This chart was awesome, so I had to pull my own up. But you can see, I mean, Are we in another rally? Is this actually going to finally start pulling back up here? And then will it be, if it does pull up there, will it be another failed attempt? Which you would think with the rates where they're at, that could be the case. But then again, if yields continue to fall, that will be gasoline on the fire or fuel for the small caps to continue. You know, and you can see the S&P, I mean, oh boy. I mean, the S&P has been outperforming this one at a rate not seen since 1998. So some of you might even be able to remember that. You're so young. And if you're like me, you definitely remember 1998. So, you know, I was actually, where was I? I think I was in Japan or something in the military. But, you know, you look at this right here. This is another thing. This is the reason why small caps lag everything else. The debt. The debt is just crushing them because especially the rates where there are. And 2/3 of U.S. small cap debt is going to come due in 5 years. And you can see which color the S&P 500 is, which color the Russell 2000 index is, and the Russell a whole lot more will be coming due, and they have a whole lot more of it right there because they're not cash heavy. They don't carry a lot of cash. They can't carry a lot of cash, and these are small caps, right? So they have taken a lot of debt to keep the growth going, all right? And so if rates stay where they're at, that's a huge problem for them. They would love to see rate cuts, even though, again, most of the time when you see rate cuts, it means something bad has happened. Now, Tesla we'll look at real quick on a smaller time frame because this is just getting traded out the wazoo, basically, okay? You can see right there, moved up, mitigated, or got rid of this RTH gap to the penny. Ended up going up in that fair value gap, actually, to the penny. And so we'll get rid of that right there. You can see you got Wednesday's low right there, previous day high, previous day low, and then you'll have last week's high. And these are the levels. It's really kind of bouncing around, but if you look at this right here, what does it look like it's doing again? Same thing it did yesterday. It's just wedging, right? It's just sitting there, just compressing, right, into an explosive move. That's what happened yesterday. That's what we talked about. What happened? Explosive move up. Doesn't mean this was going to be an explosive move up because obviously NVIDIA's earnings are going to have a lot to do, as I think, on the whole market. But again, this is what Tesla loves to do. It loves to compress in and then explode, okay? And so whether or not it's going to prior week's highs or I would say previous day, actually it'd be 2 days back, lows, that's what we're going to have to find out right there. 233.40, very good support level right there for this one. Again, 233.40, 247-ish right there, 246. As you can see, that's where the 100 moving average is. So, you know, that's the levels you're kind of looking at. But again, this is going to make a move, and it's going to be a pretty good one. I just can't pick the direction for you because of NVIDIA. That's really what the key comes. You would think this is going up because a lot of people are selling cash clear puts on Tesla right now. I mean, you could get, you know, $900 for, I think it's the 210 put expiring. I think it's January 19th, if I'm not mistaken. And so if you get an explosive move up, you can close that out way early. So it's kind of like free money as long as you're good on owning Tesla at 206, I believe it is. Now, when it comes to the economic data, you know, you're going to look at a lot of mortgage data. You're going to get your jobless data coming out for initial jobless claims, continuous jobless claims, then the Michigan consumer sentiment, a lot of oil data, which nobody's going to care about. Because remember, there's not going to be a lot of volume in the market. Most people are going to be going on vacation here, right? And really nothing else. And then, of course, when we close for Thursdays. And so you end up with, you know, data that it could move markets. But again, it's going to be low volume, right? A lot of people won't even be paying attention to the market after noon because they're going to be going whatever on trips, or maybe they're already on trips, all right? And then Friday is usually even worse. And then we'll be closed Thursday, of course. So it won't be no video Thursday, Friday. I will have one for tomorrow for you. And then Saturday's video. So put your question in the comments. If you have anything you want to put in Saturday's video, let me know and stuff. And then Sunday's video, setting us up for more of a normal week. And of course, as I mentioned in the beginning, for those who are still with me, or actually I don't even think I mentioned it, I want to get your opinion on something. Obviously, you guys watch these videos. I've been trying to update these thumbnails or upgrade them. Give them a little touch up because I'm not a designer. I'm colorblind. I refuse to take classes on it because, again, I don't even know what the colors I'm putting on there is, why they're so basic and generic, which is fine. But I just want something that looks a little better. That's all I want, right? And so here are 2 thumbnails somebody sent me that is a designer. And I just want to get your input on it because your input matters, right? I mean, this is your channel as much as it is mine. And so there's the first one. It's not fire. It's sunlight, not fire. There'll be no fire in these videos, or thumbnails, that is. And then here's the second one. And so I just kind of want to get your input. What do you think about it? Look at them. Please put it in the comments and stuff. Again, your opinion matters to me. So all I'm doing, looking to upgrade, making it look a little bit better. That's all I'm trying to do, okay? So anyway, Hope you guys got some ideas. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.